All right, hello, you guys. Good morning. So, I just wanted to come and talk to you guys. You guys know I love talking about money, finances. I've had my share. I have had my share. Personally, on my own, I'm good. I've always been a saver. Growing up, I never felt a struggle. So, like, my parents never talked about money. My father was a welder, and then I think that company he worked for, because I was so young, I think they either closed down the company or my father got laid off. I know we did have food stamps at one point, um, but I don't know. um, it was just like I learned about money on my own, kind of. As I mentioned, nobody's talked about money. My mom was a stay at home mom. There are six of us kids. My mom was a very young parent. I think she either got pregnant at 13 and had my brother at 14, or 14 going on 15. I think it's the latter, but let's just give my mom the benefit of the doubt that she got pregnant at 14 and had my first brother at 15. My dad at that time, my mom and my dad was, let's say, 3 years apart. So if she was 14, about to be 15, well, 14 to 15, you figure he would have been like 18, 17, 18. My mom tried to go back to school. She didn't finish school. She just didn't. She heard my brother cry, and she was like, I can't go to school. I can't leave my baby. So yeah, y'all. She's always been a stay at home. She was always a stay at home mom. Now, just so you guys are aware, my parents are gone, and they're both passed away. Um, but yeah, it's just like it was a easy life growing up. We went on We didn't go on too many vacations, but it was just like we us kids, we had each other. The simple things like people don't do anymore: ride bikes, skate in the street, all of those things. It was wonderful. Life was not complicated. I think with technology, you get so caught up in your phone and all of these things. But needless to say, I've never felt a struggle. I will say there were times where, we had to go school shopping for us three little ones, and it was just like, okay, we got to make sure we're not on a budget, but it was just like, okay, you get this color, you can match it with this. I will say, of course, my older three siblings, they seen the struggle, but us three younger kids, by that point, my father is older, he has a good job, and things are good. Things change constantly. Let me see something. I'm sorry, y'all. Is that better for the lighting? No. I'm sorry, you got the glare in my eyes. So yeah, so me being a saver, it wasn't because of I seen struggle. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because I was taught to save. It was just something that I did. That was just me at a very young age. I would sign up for programs that offered me money, right? So I think around 12, 13, sorry, there was a program where you would go after school and they would give you a stipend. They would give you a stipend like every week or every 2 weeks, which wasn't much, but 12, 13 years old, or let's say, yeah, 12, 13 years old, you're getting money. I walked to the place from my home. It was basically like an after school program. That's what it is. It was just like, doing your homework while you're there. You were basically getting paid to chill. Of course, they taught things, I guess, about like jobs and stuff like that. But I think it was more or less just making sure kids, uh, you know, worry about their education type of deal. Give me a moment. So yeah, I don't recall like my sister ever doing it. I could be wrong. I don't think my sister ever signed up for anything like that. Um, yeah, I don't recall my sister ever doing it. But you figure when I would get those checks, you cash it. Um, I used to put stuff into savings. Like my parents opened us up like it was called the Mula Mula account. Um, it was with a bank. And anyways, you get to walk up like the stairs to the cashier. So like it really made you feel good because you can interact and do your own interaction. You know, it was like it was so cool because it really allowed you to feel like, okay, I'm doing this transaction. I want to make a deposit in my account. I want to withdraw money from my account. Being a young kid, that was super, super cool. Now, of course, we used to get like allowances. So even with my allowances, I would use some to live life. There was used to be like a penny candy truck. That was my jam. Um, but other than that, even prior to doing this other program, growing up, um, with my allowance, we started off at like 250 at a certain age. Like once we got older and we were able to do chores, my father gave us like 250 every 2 weeks. So you figure if I wanted to get candy, I could spend $1 throughout the 2 weeks, get 100 pieces of candy, right? And then like say for the other money you will put up. I'm 36 years old. Um, and so yeah, you figure we will kind of go to the bank every, you know, 2 weeks and make a deposit. Um, and as time goes on, this program I joined, I got money. Um, I did that for 2 years. I think it was 2 years. Um, and then that was like what, 13, 14, and then 15, 16. I'm in high school. Yeah, I'm in high school. And there was this program for construction, right? To basically learn construction, carpentry, and masonry. I'm good with my hands. I love to build things. I love to take things apart. I love to put things back together. I just like to fix things. I'm a hands-on person. That's me. And this thing, another program, you get stipends. So you do the class, you meet up after school. It was like another after school program, but in the summer, you made more money because at that point, you're actually joining the college people in the class with their instructor. You're learning how to, use a hammer. I mean, we were doing projects. So we were actually helping build like dugouts. We helped do like lay a new floor for like an extension to a funeral home. Got the cement laid. Of course, first and foremost, do the digging. They dug it out, but getting like the rebar in there, building the structure at the bottom, the foundation, getting the cement poured. This is 15, 16, you know what I mean? Laying brick, laying center blocks, especially at like the dugouts. And from there, we're working, right? We are working. So on top of our regular stipends from the class, we're getting paid basically from the college type of thing. So I was like $5,000 for a summer. And I did that for 2 years. And I saved. What else am I gonna do? I can't drive right now. I'm 15, I think at that point you had to be like 16 before you can get your license. As soon as I could get my license, I got it. So yeah, y'all. I was just a saver. So you figure, what from there, I graduated early. I graduated when I was 16, about to turn 17. At 16, I did get like my permit. I think you had to had it for like a year or so. I'm from New York, and don't quote me; these things may have changed by now. Um, I started at 16. I'm like, okay, I'm out of high school, so I can't be in that program anymore, which was good money. And my first job was at Staples. I liked it a lot. Being out of school um, early allowed me to work. Um, but my mom had to drop me off, pick me up. Eventually, once I was able to get my license, I hopped on it, got a car of my own. I was on my parents' insurance. Later on, I got on my own insurance. Um, but I was a saver. I was a saver. Anything needed to be fixed, of course, I would do that. Had wanted a cell phone when those came out, right? You pay your own bill, you pay everything on your own. Of course, being on my parents' insurance definitely helped, right? Because it was a lower rate. But being on there for like a year, it lets them know that, hey, I haven't been in any accidents. So eventually we will get off my parents' insurance and be on our own. Now you figure, I'm out of school, I'm in college, graduated, but I started to date my husband, and um, yeah, we were together like 9 months, February to like Octoberish. And then I got pregnant. I had my son. I got pregnant at 18. Um, and I had my son at 18 as well. And about to be 19. I had him in July, and I was turning 19 in September. But I was okay. Like, the thing is, I've always thought things through. I'm a thinker. Do I overthink things? No, I think about possibilities, the what ifs. I think that people say that part of it is anxiety. For me, I just feel like it's me. Um, I like to know what my options are. I like to have a plan. I know things can change. And it's not because of life. It's not because of life. I didn't have anything to really think about. But me, I never thought I would get married. I would never thought I would have a boyfriend. I'm a tomboy. I still am. I'm not all about the glitz and glamour. Um, and I had my son, but at that point, I mean, I had 30,000 saved up, and you figure I had my son back in 2006. That was good money. Very good money to be at such a young age, 18. I had that money by like 17, 18ish. But this is me saving up throughout the years, right? With my allowances, these programs, the summer programs. And I don't think nowadays they still have those type of programs. I really don't think my sister ever joined like the first program. I know I did, because I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? Yeah, I want money. This stuff I'm gonna be doing there help out with learning how to do resumes and stuff like that. um so yeah, I think we went on field trips too. I Don't quote me. And then we would still do things in the summer, so it was like a year round thing. I liked it a lot. I really did like it a lot. It allowed kids to do something productive versus being out in the streets. um I'm from like the ghetto. I'm from the hood, you guys. I'm from the hood. Gun violence, drugs. um it was rampant. But yeah, I mean, my neighbors was like hardcore drug dealers. And then we're right here. We got drug dealers right on this side of us, and then on the other side of us, we have not a priest. What is those guys at like the black churches? Not a priest, but y'all know what I mean. So it was just like you got two things. It was so funny. Can you imagine, right? Um, and then across the street there was a gentleman, a white gentleman. Very, very good. And I will say, growing up, people, my kids my age, they were like, you got the good life. And why was that? Because we had both parents, both parents in the household. We didn't seem to be struggling. Um, I will say some kids, like when we got on food stamps, oh, you got food stamps. I'm like, man, this is free money. You get to get one of those. At that time, it was the pamphlet, right? It was like not a pamphlet, but it was like a checkbook, right? Where you just tear it out. It was $1, $5. It was so super cool being a kid in elementary school. And that it felt good. Like, ooh, look at this. It's play money, right? And then eventually, it turns into cards. But let me know, have you guys ever been on food stamps when you were younger, and how was it in your state? But yeah, it used to be like a little checkbook kind of thing, but not checks, but you tear it down out of the thing. It's like it tells you what it is. It was super cool. But anyways, this is a just a backstory of me, right? Not a struggle. Um, we didn't really go on too many trips. Um, like big trips, even smaller trips. We really didn't go on many, you guys. But it was cool. Life was life. It was for me, it was good. It was good. So you roll into me having my son and, being a young mother, I was good. Financially, I was good. Emotionally, I was good. Now, I will say I've always dealt with, since a very young age, I dealt with depression and anxiety. Dealt with both. And but I will say, when you're younger, that stuff doesn't affect you. Like, it didn't affect me as much. I'm just thinking that is life, suck it up, buttercup, you know what I mean? um but then you figure, my then boyfriend turned husband, once I got pregnant, everything changed with him. Like, he treated me horrible, you guys. And my whole thing is with the money saving, and I've told you guys this before, me having saving up money, it didn't make me feel good. It's nice to see your money build up, but at the same time, like, who do I have it to spend with? You know what I mean? And I think that mindset for me, I'm like, I would never want to date anybody. I like to be by myself, but at the same time, like, I don't have anybody to share this with, right? So when I met my husband, well, my boyfriend at that time, or met him, and we started talking, I spoiled him. 30,000, spend 15,000 getting this stuff, going on trips, all of these things. But once I got pregnant, things changed. Um, once I had, or before my son, no, after I had my son, I attempted to live with my husband. He used to live with his grandma. His grandma had a downstairs and upstairs apartment, right? Downstairs, that's where they used to live at. And I don't know if they had like renters in the upstairs apartment. I don't think they did, because it these older houses, let me tell you, the older houses are made of real wood. Real wood, not this plaster and plywood, you know what I mean? It was real wood. Very well built. um Very well built. But anyways, it was a big apartment, big apartment. So anyways, once I was pregnant, he moved upstairs. Did he have a lot? No. I didn't really buy things for the house, I basically spoiled him. But I'm like, at the same time, this is not my real residence, we would, after I got pregnant, I would go back home, stay with him, go back home, because of our relationship. It was bumpy. And then, even then, eventually we get married, and it was still bumpy, real bumpy. Um, to the point where, the 30,000, it goes. But at the same time, I'm working. I got money coming in every 2 weeks. But dealing with my husband, he's out in the streets, right? Oh, babe, let me borrow the paycheck. I'ma flip it. I'ma get half of that back. I'ma get your money back plus half more, right? That was never the case. Never the case. Most of the times it was never the case. And when I say I was never broke, I always had money to the side. It doesn't mean I had a lot, but at the same time, I always had a paycheck. I always had a paycheck coming in, right? So I was never like broke or homeless in that aspect. Did I have money in the bank at that point? Probably. That I wouldn't touch. No, it wasn't. Let me tell you why. Because if we need something, okay, let me tell you this. I would put money into the bank, but then he was like, oh, let me borrow this. And if I don't let him borrow it, then it's like a fight. So, of course, I'll give it to him. We've done payday loans in the past. This is year in the early 2000s, you guys. Payday loans. I remember working at a bank, customer service, and because I've given him all the money, I make sure I have at least a dollar in my checking account, because you figure when you go to the gas stations, or at least the gas stations I used to go to, they do a dollar authorization. So I'm like, okay, as long as I have a dollar on my debit card, it'll get approved. I'll fill up my gas tank. Yeah, I'm gonna have an overdraft fee. Plus, on top of that, it was just a cycle. Let's say it's a cycle. Making sure you have a dollar in your account. Overdraft fees, yes. But what was I supposed to do, right? It was like, I don't think, people, if you're not in a relationship of domestic violence, I don't think people understand the mental, emotional aspect of it. What else is there? But yeah, eventually things got to a point where I'm just like, no, my son is getting older. I can't do this. Like around 4 years old, I forgot what happened. I definitely forgot what happened. Getting on food stamps, definitely, going through the motions. And when you go on food stamps, they want to, if I'm not married to him, right? They want to know who the father is so they can kind of go after them for like child support, to help to support you, so that you don't have to be on there. And he never wanted to be in the system. But anyways, yeah, a lot of protection orders, a lot of them. It was just really toxic, and as the time went on, it just got more toxic. And I've explained to you some of the situations, like hardcore situations that I've been through. Of course, I have been, payday loans are the worst, but it may do, you get $125 payday loan, you end up paying back 200, with the interest. But it is what it is. You had to make do. And I will say this for my husband. I think he wanted me to rely on him because he knew I was independent, right? He knew I was good with money. He knew I was independent. And I think for a guy that's in the streets, and his parents' life, no, his father was into the streets. His mom, it was just a lot for him. His father was in jail. His mom was struggling. It was just a lot. Their family dynamic was crazy. They stuck with each other, but then they would argue all the time and do their own thing, but they were together. Break up to make up. And that's what my husband grew up with. Then, he would stay with his grandma and grandpa. And he didn't have the same childhood I had with both parents. And he used to talk about that. You don't know the struggles. You have both of your parents. And I'm just like, okay, what that got to do with you now? You know what I mean? I don't like when people blame their current situation on their past. Learn from the past. Say you want better and do better. You know what I mean? It's just like you have a choice. You really do have a choice, but I think people just use that as a crutch or as a way to justify what they do. And that's no. No. But I mean, with that being said, um me and my husband, I was working, and it seemed like I would leave I would leave him, get a new place, leave him, get a new place. And people are like, why do you keep going back to him? Not knowing that I wasn't going back to him. It was that he always found me. Okay. Always found me. Um and like being stalkerish. Okay. Putting my life in danger. It's just so many instances. And sometimes you just go with the flow, to make sure you're okay, to make sure your child is okay. You go back with the person because at least you're not looking behind your back. You're with them. You let them know, oh, I love you. I forgive you. In the meantime, you plotting your next move, anyways, it got to a point where he basically trespassed it at my job, got into a secure building, okay, jumped a huge fence, climbed over it to get to me. You had to scan a card to get in and out to get into the building. He stole that from somebody. Like when he jumped over the fence, he stole that a badge from somebody, got in and trespassed it. So at that point, I'm leaving, like I'm done, And that was always the case though. It was always the case that I would leave and he would find me. Okay, you work at the same place. He knows where you work at. It's a small it's not yeah, it's a small neighborhood, even the surrounding little areas, towns, people know each other, right? And my husband being out in the street and having a lot of friends and family, it was just like, oh, somebody's always keeping an eye out for me. You know what I mean? There's been times where, my mom would pick me up and he's right there. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So, anyways, I ended up eventually with one of those bad incidents. I ended up going to a shelter. I'm like, I just can't, something's gonna happen. I'm gonna do something. He's gonna do something. I don't know, but I'm not gonna stay in this. And I went to a shelter, and because I'm like, I can't stay with my mom anymore because he keeps stalking. Like, we will leave and he's coming out of the bushes when we come back, startling me and my mom. I dropped my son off. I haven't told all the stories, but like I have told some stories where it's just like, just listen to domestic violence and people just like think you could just walk away. It's not it's not that easy. Even when you do walk away, if a person finds you, then what? I moved to the next like town over, two towns over, and you know, I had a good life, and then he'll find me. Where you living at? Then guess what? He's living with me. Like, you guys, I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot at such a young age, and then the money struggles. And it kind of goes back to being in a domestic violence. There's like this bug crawling around. I want to kill it. Let me kill it. Give me a moment. So yeah, you guys, it's just like people don't understand. And I think for my husband it was more or less try to tear her down so that she has to rely on you, and it was never the case. Like, I'm the one working. He would never work. If he worked, I know he had a couple of jobs and he was like, I don't want nobody telling me what to do. Typical man, like street men, don't want to settle down, don't want to have anybody tell you what to do. You get arrested so many times because of me putting you in jail, all of these things, and these things come back up when they're back with you. And I'm just like, let's leave me alone. You wouldn't have to go through all of this crap. And I think people may say, why did you marry him? Because in some instances, life is good. It's not always bad. You see the good in a person, and you see them trying to improve. It's I loved him, yes, but he was my worst enemy. I think some of the things is like, you um get arrested, you are in jail for a longer period of time, more longer than you ever been, and it's just like you come out as a new person. And that's basically what it was. He was in jail probably for, I forgot how long, not like over a year, but his longest stint in jail, and he came out a new person, I thought, and it was going good. And then he gets back to the same bad friends, he gets back into that street life again, and then it just goes back downhill. But anyways, throughout that good period, I'm like, man, he's changed. So yeah, we get married. And of course, after all of that, um, it's the same life all over. So, anyways, and one of my, when he jumped the thing at my job, there was issues with the car that I had, and he was like, "While I was in jail, you were talking to this person," and I'm just like, as I mentioned, I'm a tomboy, so I used to chill with girls, like my girls from school, guys in the street. I didn't like sell drugs or anything like that. They did. And I was just basically their Uber driver. But we used to just chill, sit in the car, chill. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink with them. But I was just chilling. It was a person that I grew up with and cared for deeply. I was like infatuated with this person, but I would never, like, in my brain, you ever have a relationship with a friend, right? And you're like, your friendship is so more important than a relationship, because if you think about it, you get into a relationship, something goes wrong, that friendship would never be the same. And that was my thing for this person. you know it was like elementary school love, and then you go through the years, and like to this day I'm like, people know I'm like, man, that's like my crush. But I would never, he would say, oh, we could be together. I'm like, no. I like you being my friend. Yes, I have a crush on you, but I would never take it that route because I value our friendship. And him being in the street and all of this stuff. And the thing is, gangs, right? Gangs itself, him and my husband were in two separate gangs. So it was like, oh, you were talking to the enemy while I was in jail. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. The streets talk, but I wasn't even talking to these people. But he knew prior to me meeting him that who I used to chill with. He knew who I used to chill with, the girls I used to chill with, the guys I used to chill with. And he knew me from the streets, you know what I mean? I'm not in the streets, but I'm dealing with people from the streets, and they're the rival. It was a hot mess, you guys. It was a hot mess. But anyways, I think for him, it was just like he wanted to bring me down, so I had to rely on him, and that was never going to be the case. I'm independent, and I think part of him was that he knew I didn't need him. And I think a person of domestic violence, that tears them down even more, because here they are trying to tear you down, and you're still standing. You're still standing. You leave an apartment from because of him. You go back with your mom. Not too long, you get back up on your feet. Here he stalks you, gets back in your life, not out of choice. Most of the times it wasn't out of choice. As time went on, it wasn't out of choice. Sometimes, being super young, you got a new child. Yes, you want to be with that person. So the person, lovey dovey, I've changed, I'm sorry. Being young at 18, 19, 20, you listen to those things and you think a person can change. People can change, but only if they want to. But after time, I'm just like, I can't keep doing this. Like, the last string for me, and when I went into the shelter, is the first time I went into the shelter is because I really thought, wow, I didn't think I was going to get emotional. Oh my goodness. Wow, I was not expecting this. I was scared for my life. I've been scared for my life before, or getting punched on and all of these things, but this time he was super mad. The car had broke down. He recently got out of jail, blaming me. Well, you had this person in the car and all this stuff. You were being this while I was gone in jail. And he was furious. Now, I will say for him, he it wasn't just me in his life, right? It wasn't just me. He had a double life, you guys. Being in the streets, these people want to portray themselves as something. And, I had this girl, I got this girl, this is my money person, you know what I mean? These other people didn't have anything like I did, I'm standing on my own 2 feet. People are still don't have cars. They still live with their parents for years on end, you know what I mean? And then these people have other kids, right? So James has 2 sisters. I don't like to discuss that. Um, and yeah, I don't like to discuss it because I would have loved, I would have loved for my son to have had a relationship with his sisters. I said, of course, once he hits 18, he could try to reach out, but my husband, his family, when I used to ask them, they will always deny it. Have you ever gone through something where it's just like, no, you're the only one? But you already know, like, sometimes I wasn't naive. I wasn't naive because I would speak to these people. I'm like, are you with him? No, I'm not with him. Is that his child? No, it's not his child. So you got everybody lying to you, right? Family, these girls, it was just a hot mess. But anyways, you go through all of these things, and the final straw for me was I thought he was gonna kill me. Wow, I really thought he was gonna kill me, y'all. Like, he was so mad about the car breaking down because he's living this double life, you know what I mean? And he's so frustrated. He's so frustrated. At this point, I'm putting money to the side. I'm putting money to the side. I left that apartment, left everything in there. I slept in my car that night with my son. My husband was going out of town for like a concert. He was super mad. I gotta deal with this. You had these people in the car, and I'm just like, are you serious? Are you serious? But yeah, I was in fear of my life, you guys. He was so heated. He was so heated. The only way that I felt like I was alive is because his cousin was like, yo, we heading out of town. You could take care of that when you come back, type of deal, right? And you know me, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But you know, I'm always plotting, always plotting. At that point, you guys, I'm like, I can't go back to my mom's house. He's a stalker. um, so I'm like, where can I go? You know, yeah, my family lives around there, but like he knows where my family lives, you know? He didn't know where my sister lived. So, anyways, I leave. I'm in a panic. I'm crying. I'm just driving. I need to get away. And in my head, even if I drive an hour away, I'm like, he's got somebody over this way. Like in my head, I'm like, somebody's going to see me and tell him. And, anyways, I go and I let my mom and sister know, hey, you guys, I have left, you know. I'm like, I can't come back to your house, mom, because he knows where you live, and you've seen how he has stalked the house, how he has grabbed me from your house, all of these things, you know. You know, you try to drop off your son because my mom used to take care of him. You drop off your son, he's in the house. You come back to the car, and the dude's standing right there. Oh my goodness, the stories, you guys, the stories. So yeah, that was my. So anyways, from there, my sister had got her own place, you know, and he didn't know where she lived at. Her main thing was like, nobody's gonna know where I live at, and that was the case. Nobody knew where she lived at. So even though me and my son, you know, spent the night in the car trying to figure out my plan, at this point, how old is Jamez? Like three, 3 years old, you know, and there's been like two times where I thought he would hurt Jamez. Like he threatened to hurt Jamez, but I know he would never hurt him. I know he would hurt me. I mean, you're physically, he never touched Jamez, okay? But this one time and before, he turned like grabbed his leg when he was young, and I will hurt him. If you do this to me, I will hurt him. And of course, I'm crying, but I knew because he already had hit me, you know, but I knew he was just trying to make that threat. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know. And you figure, you know, people talk about, oh, you're in a relationship, you're not being raped, you're in a relationship. No, if it's not consensual, if you're telling this person no, yeah, you guys, I've never thought of it as being raped, but it is. It is, you know, and but you figure you're with this person, and I never thought of it being that. So many times, so many times. I'm so fortunate that I'll only have one child. I would have loved more if our relationship was good. I would have loved it. Um, I would love for Jamas to have an actual blood sister or brother, you know. I would have loved that for him. But it never happened. And I'm fortunate for it because obviously I will be a single widow with more kids. And it wasn't in the plans, you know, it wasn't in the plans. And I'm fortunate. I'm happy about that. I wouldn't want to have brought another child into that type of situation anyways, even though I know I could afford them, I could take care of them, you know. Um, so yeah, my first money issue, here I am the following day, I ask my sister, hey, can I stay with you for a little bit till I figure out my next move? Of course, I stay with her for like not even long. I felt unwanted. I felt unwanted, you guys. And and that was cool. It was cool. It was cool. I'm like, you don't want me here. It wasn't that she didn't want me there. It was more or less that she had a, something that she wanted to do. And I was just, it wasn't in the plans for me to be with her. And I wasn't going to stay long. I was just trying to get on my feet, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I can't go back to my job. I can't go back to this job because he's already trespassed in a secure building. I can't go back there. Like, how am I supposed to get back on my feet, right? How am I supposed to get back on my feet? I can't work there. He has people that work there. And I was at the point where I'm at a loss. I'm not wanted at this place. I probably was there for like a week. And basically, people are, have their relationships. Um, and that took precedence over me. And this person was not in this person's life. Like, it was something that they were waiting on. They were waiting on in this new place. They just didn't want it to be messed up. They didn't want people to use the stove. I want everything to be how it is. It was okay because I it hurted me. It really did. Because you're at your low point. You're afraid. A person has taken everything from you. And I mean, you start off so well. It wasn't until I got pregnant that things changed. I've spoiled this person. But anyways, I was like, okay, I'm not wanted here. Um, so I'm like, where am I supposed to go? I can't go with you, mom. All of these feelings are coming back. I don't think about these things, but I'm just trying to share with you my money, my emotions, my life with money, where I've come from. Um, so anyways, I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I ended up calling a shelter, and that was my first time being in a shelter. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have anywhere to go, you guys. I was stuck. Like, the only place I knew that would have wanted me was my mom, but I couldn't go there. I couldn't go there. Um, so, anyways, I go in the shelter. I feel like a bad mom because now you're sharing quarters with people. People come into the domestic violence shelter. You don't know their background. You don't know anything. Of course, you're not supposed to do drugs or anything like that, but still, yeah, you got your own room. Then you got to share the restroom, the shower with these. We have one, there's 3 bedrooms, so you have 3 families that can come. Sometimes people are single, sometimes people have multiple kids, sometimes they're just by themselves. I just said single, right? And it was just like, it took me back because I'm like, what in the world? Why? I'm like, I have family. And the one person that I knew he didn't know about where they lived was my sister, and I felt unwanted. I'm like, I thought we were closer than that. But men are more important. And this person wasn't even living with them, and she just had this, what she wanted. Like, she had this vision for when this person comes to live with them, that she just wanted the place to be fresh, untouched. And here I am with what, a 2 3 year old 3 year old about to be 4. And yeah, that was my first time in a shelter. From there, you guys, I was there for 3 months. My job, where he had trespassed into, was like, what's going on? I applied for unemployment due to domestic violence. If you guys don't know, that is something you are able to do. Well, in New York, it is. I'm pretty sure other places too. So my job was I got unemployment. So I was bringing in money. The shelter, they were like, save that money, save that money. Get your food stamps, get your health care, get all of that, because when you're dealing with domestic violence, you get the benefits, to get back up on your feet. They know I'm in a shelter, so being in a shelter takes precedence of over anything else. Like, you're homeless, so they treat homeless and domestic violence as top priority. So even though I was getting unemployment from my job for domestic violence, here I am stacking money. I'm getting food stamps. I don't have to worry about rent, right? I mean, there was like, I was getting stipends from them as well. Um, I was getting stipends. I had to work for it though. But I was just bringing in money. Here I am saving money, right? And my job is like, okay, you're coming up on 3 months. What's going on? They said, they gave me an ultimatum. You either keep collecting unemployment. If you do that, then we have to terminate you and you can't come back. So I'm like, this is my livelihood, right? This is one of, like, probably one of the best paying jobs in the area at that time. Or, it was up there, work better, more money than working at McDonald's at that point, better than working at Staples. It was a increase. And so, yeah, you guys, I told him I'm going to keep collecting unemployment. Like, I'm at a crossroads. Like, it was a hard decision to make, because at this point, I'm like, I don't have a job. So, anyways, I'm in the shelter collecting unemployment, getting all of the benefits, right? Um, and then from there, they find an apartment. I'm ready to get it back on my feet. My rent was like 450, 425, a nice little apartment. It was really nice. I do think it had mold. Um, like, sometimes people just paint over it, right? The thing is, like, this complex wasn't fully full with people. Like, there would be buildings that would be empty because there's like a issue with it, not up to code or something. But I'm pretty sure, because I know when it would get like hot, like, there would be like you could, like, in the upper corner you could see, like, under the paint it's just like darkish, in some areas. So I'm pretty sure there was probably mold, but it was a nice little apartment. And then throughout the time I'm in the shelter, it's in a different area. It's in a different area. Um, and like two towns over. And I'm just trying to figure things out, right? Anyways, my husband ended up getting locked up. Because when I was in the shelter, oh my goodness, it was the worst feeling ever. Because I'm like, he's got somebody around here. Somebody's going to see me. Then what? I was in fear. I was in fear. But guess what? He ended up getting locked up for a longer stint. And I felt good. I felt free. I felt free, you guys. Here I am, able to get on the bus, because I got rid of my car, the one that was having the issues. It was parked at my mom's. Somebody went to my mom's house and asked if it was for sale. I let them know the issue, sold it, got some money from it. um I think it would have been an easy fix, but with everything that was going on, I'm like, I don't want this car to be something that can attach me. My mental state was, if I have the same car, if I go to the same job, if I live in the same area, somebody's going to see me and tell him. And that's kind of like living in fear. You know what I mean? I was in fear. Like, I was so, like, who's this? I've seen somebody from this area and they're like, oh, hi. Ain't you this somebody's sister? And I'm like, oh, they're going to go back. They know him. That's what I'm thinking. Nothing never came back as that. But I let them know, hey, just so you are aware, if you know him or anybody, don't say that you know that you see me, please. Please, oh, I won't. And at that point, you're like, what if they just tell you that and they're lying? I was in fear until he got locked up, and then I felt comfortable. Oh my goodness, I got my son into this beautiful, beautiful a daycare. And it's funny because when he was a baby, I'm like, my baby's gonna go to this daycare. He's gonna go to this daycare, and I got him into that daycare. And it's funny because my mom's like, Candace, you ever realize? And I told her too, I'm like, you ever realize what I say year and years to come? It always comes true. No matter how it came about. But I was like, do you remember when I said that? Because I used to live in this town before, when I first moved out, when I first got my very first place. It was a townhouse. It was beautiful. My rent was based on my income, so it was like $290. It was good, you guys. And then he messed it all up. I'm like, I can't live here. Oh my, it's just like somebody just takes everything from you all the time, and yeah, you guys. So anyways, that's part one. I in the beginning, I have full control over my money. Money makes me sad. I didn't have anybody to share it with. Yes, I could take care of my parents, and I would, if my parents was like, I need this, like, it's money that's saved. If my parents like, I need a couple thousand, go ahead, have it. But they never need it. My father seen, he's like, this your money? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what you been doing? I'm like, saving. He's like, Lorraine, she got this much money? She's like, yeah. And yeah, y'all. But my dad passed away shortly after I had my son. 3 months after I had my son, he passed away. But it's funny because you have 6 kids, and I understand this, that people are just not forgiving of a person. My dad was abusive to my mom, domestic violence, right? And you know what? You're like, I would never be in a relationship like that. And I will say, it didn't start off that way, and I'm pretty sure it didn't start off that way with my mom and dad either. And things change, people evolve, people show their true colors. And then at that point, then what? Here my mom is a young mom. She dropped out of school. What's she supposed to do? You know what I mean? My father is the primary source of income, only income. And it's just like you get stuck in that. You get stuck on that. And then my mom had high blood pressure, which she didn't manage, and she had lost her kidney function, so then she's on dialysis. It was just, you get in these situations, you can't leave. This is the only person she's known since 13, 12 years old. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyways, my older siblings, no. They're so hurt by what they've seen and grew up with. They would still talk with my dad, but like, my dad did not feel the love. He understood that, even as he aged, that he was like, Lorraine, I hope I pass before you, because nobody's going to want to take care of me besides her, besides me. I had a deep conversation with my father.
a very deep conversation with him, because I'm just like, he never felt loved by his children because, he's an alcoholic. He goes off. He didn't never go off on me. I just, when I was younger, yeah, I get spankings, but, other than that, it was just like, Candace, keep your mouth closed. I'm not gonna step up to this man, you know what I mean? And I just let him know, like, what you're doing, it affects everybody. I said, I know you're dealing with something. You seem sad. And the thing for me is, like, people sometimes don't know how to articulate what they've been through. They do it out of anger. They take their frustrations out on others. Like, I don't like, this is what I always told my siblings, right? I don't think we know the full story about my parents, you know what I mean? Like my dad, I don't know. People don't talk, in the black community. Did something happen to him? My grandma has like my grandma had men all the time. So, like, what happened? Was he touched? Did something happen? You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. You just don't know. I don't know. And I think for my siblings, it was just like, oh, he's a bad person. He's a bad man. Yeah, he's done some bad things. He has done some, like, beating up on my mom, you know, just being, it was like you could never talk to him. He's a drunkard. Um, and I think, everybody treated my mom as, she was the victim. Okay, she was the victim, but like, I think my dad was a victim of something. I think he had depression, probably from how he grew up, or he just had depression altogether. Being a black man, having to take care of these children, I just think it was a lot. A lot. And like, when I had this deep conversation with my father, he was like, I think you will be the only one to take care of me. Do you know how sad that is? You have 6 kids and you're like, you're the only one that talks to me. I feel the only love from you. Like, you not holding nothing against me. You had this deep conversation with me. I bought him 2 things before. I bought him 2 things one time when I was younger. This is when I'm like in high school. I went out of town with the group that I talked about that did construction. We went to an amusement park out of town. And you stop at one of these, like a mall. We went shopping. And I'm like, ooh, I should buy my dad a watch. And I bought him a watch. And you know how much he cherished that? He cried. And oh my goodness, he was like, yeah, my daughter bought this for me. Ain't that sad? That is so sad. Like, he cherished that, he cherished it so much. And he felt like I would be the only one to take care of him. And he was like, he always hoped that he would pass before my mom, because he's like, there wouldn't be anybody to take care of me besides you. The thing is, I speak how I feel, and this was an honest conversation. I'm not gonna let you off the hook. I'm gonna let you know how I feel, but I'm doing it in respect. You know what I mean? I'm not yelling at you. I'm not cussing at you. It's a deep conversation. Yes, you are wrong. I don't know what you're going through. I feel that you're in pain, and I think that's why you're drinking and all of these things. It was like he could treat everybody else great, and that was like everybody's thing. How can you keep treating everybody else so good, but then he comes back and he's treating us wrong? It was just like that with my husband. Like, you would treat everybody else good, but you have good people, your family at home, and you treat them like crap. Well, he never treated John as like crap, but me. It's hard to understand in what they're thinking. It is very hard. Um, And then, anyways, with my mom, um, she's on dialysis. My father passes away, and my mom just thought she was a burden because she has this machine. So we used to go to some conventions, and she was like, I can't go. I'm like, why? I got this machine. I'm like, woman, you know how to pack that up? I can't. I don't want to inconvenience. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious right now, mom? Girl, pack that up. I know your machine. Oh, well, I still gotta be on my time schedule. And we can leave the convention, do what you need to do. What's your point? And I think for my mom, nobody else. Oh my goodness, you guys. Nobody else ever traveled with my mom besides me and my son. She I took her to Virginia twice. The first time I took her to Virginia, I'm like, Mom, you want to go down to Virginia? Girl, I got the machine. I gotta, do my treatments. And I'm like, Mom, that's okay. That is okay. And she enjoyed herself. I said, Mom, I'm here for you, And she knew it. She knew it. My son was her heart, her world. I was the favorite out of both my parents. But can you imagine having 6 kids and just having one that not only tells you they're going to take care of you, but shows it? I think about that all the time, you guys, because who takes care of you? You know what I mean? Who takes care of you? Like, I hope Jamez is gonna take care of me. But I think he feels like I'm so independent that I don't need his help. Yeah, right now I don't. But hopefully when I get older, if I do need his help, that he'll be there for me. I think he will. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. But looking at my parents, you guys, um, even when my mom was in a hospital for 3 months, me and my son was there every single day. I would work because I gotta make money. I'm helping paying my mom's bills. Of course, she gets her SSI, SSI, because she's on disability, because of her, kidneys, her dialysis, and I'm helping her here and there. And in turn, yeah, of course, she used to take care of John Maz while I'm at work, but that was a joy for her because guess what? She has other grandkids, and they would hardly come and visit. People live 2 to 3 corners around you and hardly ever come visit. And me and my son was always there, not just because my mom was his babysitter. No, my mom enjoyed the company. My mom would be on her machine. Jamez will be in the room with her. She'll be off her machine and then they'll do stuff. She enjoyed that so much. You have all of these other grandkids that live in the area and they hardly even come past. Can you imagine that? Oh my goodness, the hurt. I felt hurt for her, but I was always there. A man. My relationship with my husband never changed my dynamic with my mom, and my husband knew that. My husband loved my mom so much. He would, okay, when me and him weren't on terms, they seen that he would go over her house and shovel. Okay, shovel. I have 2 brothers in the area. Never come to help my mom. But my husband's like, what's going on with your brothers? Why can't they come? Why can't your sister's man come and help? And I'm like, my husband was so caring. He was a good person at heart. He was, he really was. But everybody has their faults, and that was definitely a major flaw of his. But you speak with you don't speak. You okay. The thing is with me, how I speak is what I do. I follow through with what I say. And my goodness, my mom was like, I can't, like, can you imagine just, definitely having machines. So this is it, right? You have this machine, you have to break it apart, put it together. But not just that, you have to have the bags. You have to have the solution that she has to go through. Like, you have to have a bag, the bag with the solution, and then a bag, empty bag, so that um basically pee, right? It's not that's how it is, right? It was a thing. And so these bags are heavy, these boxes, and that was the thing for her. She's like, this is too much. I don't want to inconvenience you. I'm like, are you serious? Come on, mom. But when I took her to Virginia, that was like her first long trip. Um and she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. I'm like, she's like, I don't know if I could do a full trip because I have to do my thing, and otherwise she will start to feel sick, if she waited too long. And I'm like, if we have to get um a um a hotel on the way stop, we can do that. And she just felt, I know she felt the love. She knew I cared for her. She knew I would do anything for her. And yeah, people say, I love mom. I miss mom. But you know what? I miss my mom. I do. But I don't have any guilt. You ever feel like you lost somebody and you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I could have done this differently? And that's why your hurt is so deep? Not me. Not me. I gave my mom the world. I showed her that my love is real, that I would do anything for her. I would take care of her. I would take care of her, you know? And she knew it. She knew it. She knew it. But at the end, it was just like, I told her, my husband was in jail. I'm like, I'm gonna get back with my husband. He was in jail for like a year and some change, I think. And with her being in the hospital for 3 months, I'm speaking with my husband because who else can I talk to? This is my man. This is my husband at the end of the day. Yes, I could talk with my siblings, but I still have to, I guess, got my son. you know my husband was not the supportive type when my father passed, because he thought I was cheating when I was at the hospital and dealing with my family, you know what I mean, trying to figure out what's going on. I felt hurt when he did that. And then he was like, oh, he really did pass. I'm so sorry, I was acting like you were cheating on me. It was you guys don't know. You guys don't know, but all of that to say is your actions speak louder than words. And I'm about action. I'm about action on here. If I say I'm not here for the money, I'm not here for the money. I show you guys that, I give it away. I've always done giveaways of things. I'm a giving person. It's because I care. I'm passionate about what I share. I'm always trying to help, even if it's just a listening ear, even if it's just sharing my story, because it does help to know that you're not alone with mental health. I feel like throughout these years, as I get older, when you have a child that's dependent on you, you don't focus on yourself. You just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. And then, as they are able to start to care for themselves, then it's just like you start to care for yourself a little bit more. They can do more for themselves. So you start caring for yourself a little bit more and saying, you are not okay. You are not okay. And that's where I've come. That's where I've come to the point where I'm just like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay, and that's okay. That's okay. To want to take a break, to focus on you, to figure out what's going on. Yes, I quit my previous full time job. I was at my breaking point. Just walked away. Was that the best thing to do? No, but I did it. I was just tired. Just tired, you guys. Um, but you know what? I still worked. I got a part time job. And it's just, you think back, I'm talking to you guys about where I've come from, my parents, you know. I think my money inspiration now, I love to save, but my savings reason now is not to share it with somebody else. I feel sad to have money. Like money makes me sad, but in this case, I'm like my feelings are not the same. I like to share with people, but I'm stingy now. I am so stingy. I'm done helping people. I'm like, we are all old enough to work 3, 4 jobs if we need to. You know what I mean? I got my son to take care of. I want to make sure he's going to be straight as an adult. I don't spoil him with money. No. I tell him about real life. I share with him life situations. You know what I mean? Life is real. And that's what I teach him. I'm not gonna I don't sugarcoat anything for James. I don't, Yeah, they want to move out, they want to do this. And I'm like, okay, just make sure you're ready for it. And I know some of y'all was like, oh, if when I know when he was talking about moving out, but that was like in 10th, ninth grade. I felt sad. I'm like, you're gonna leave me? Out of all the stuff we've been through, it made me super sad. I know he wants to be independent. And that's in my mind. I'm like, this is how my parents felt. Probably it's like, who's gonna take care of me? I hope James loves me enough to take care of me. I know I told him when he got his first checks, I'm like, how much am I gonna get? He's like, none. I cried. He don't know that. If he's upstairs listening, I don't know. John must be listening in on me. But he worked last night. He was like, none. And I kept asking him, like, so how much money I'm gonna get? He's like, Mom, you say you don't need nothing, so I'm not gonna give you nothing. And he was just saying it just like that. And I'm like, wow, I'm really honest on my own. But then I was like, Ja. He's like, do you really need money? I'm like, no. He's like, well, if you need it, I'll give it to you. I'm like, because for me, I'm like, this is not how I raised you. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm that strong of a person that my son knows I don't need his help. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. There are kids that are 15, 16 years old that have to work to help support their parents, and that is life. But James doesn't have to do that. And he knows it. And I'm just like, have I not struggled? I have not struggled to a point where I'm, getting evicted. You know what I mean? I've been without. I've been in debt, you know. I've got out of debt, got back into debt because of my mood and all of these things. And but when he was like, Mom, no, I was hurt. I was hurt. I told him that too. I said, I was hurt when you said that. He said, what? He said, I was playing. I was like, I don't think you were. He's like, Mom, did you not see my face? I'm like, Ja, your face stays like this. Oh my goodness. But I was like, I didn't raise you to be like that. Like, we are caring people. We take care of each other. But I just feel like, do I set it up that I'm too independent, that my son feels like he doesn't need to take care of me? I don't need him to take care of me, but when things get tough. So my whole thinking with money is that, I've always been a saver, but now it's not a saving for me being sad because I don't have anybody to share it with. I think this is it, right? I think at this point money doesn't make me sad because I have given my son a gift that I've always wanted from the beginning to make sure he had. And now he's able to drive, he's able to work, he's able to do what he needs to do with freedom. I have my own thing. And I think for me, him being, graduating early, yes, he is still my responsibility until he's 18. And I tell him that once you hit 18, we could definitely be roommates. I don't want him to move out fast because life is hard. Life is real hard. Here he is making basically 30, 35. He's full time. My son is full time. His paychecks are good too for the age that he's at. What he brings home after taxes, like in a month, it's like 700. It's basically 1,600 per month. But look at this. Like I told him, he used to look at apartments. Apartments now in this area, even for a 1 bedroom, are 1,000. In my complex, these 1 bedrooms are like 1,000 something. So I used to tell him, I'm like, now I think, mentally, you're working full time, making $14 an hour. You bring home roughly around 1,600 per month because he's only had 2 full paychecks so far, but he is full time, okay? 35 hours per week, sometimes, more, but definitely probably up to 40 hours. You make $1,600. If you were to get a place, even a 1 bedroom apartment, my area is cheap. But of course, the prices keep creeping up. But I know he's looked at places and he's like, yeah, they're expensive. I'm like, so now I'm like, hopefully he puts two and two together. So this is what I'm making right now. If I were to get out on my own, I'll get a 1 bedroom at $1,000. Now you got $600 left. You got to feed yourself. You have to put gas in your car. You have insurance. Then you get health care on your own. That's money. Like I told him, I said, don't be in a rush. And I don't think he's in a rush. I don't think he's in a rush. I think for him, it was that he wanted freedom. And I'm not in his face. I'm not in Jamez's face. I know he's a good kid. Yeah, I do ask him questions. But I'm not, you ever, like with my siblings, like once they can get of age, they're out. 18, 17, they're moving out, that was back in the day. You run from your house because you want freedom. You don't want to be under anybody else's rule. But Jamez he's a good kid. I don't have strict rules. I don't really have rules. He doesn't have chores. Yes, I tell him I would like him to help out. I don't even ask anymore. I'll mention it. But no, because I know I don't want to do it. But it's just like, you put two and two together. Like, man, I'm working basically 80 hours every 2 weeks for this paycheck. I get this. I don't have a life after work. He's going to try to see about switching over his hours to like a midday shift versus a night shift because like people still hang out. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, they in school. He's like, Mom, they still hang out, like going bowling and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, y'all, I really do. I mean, I'm very independent, but I just want my son to know, like, I want to know that my son's gonna be there for me. I really do. But at the same time, this is why I save up. I'm not gonna ever rely on Jamez. I am not. But, it's nice to know that if something were to happen, if my health were to go down, that he would be there for me, not financially, but just be there for me, care about me enough to want to help me out. And I think for me, it's just like I'm just too independent, just I feel like I'm just too independent. I have things. I've never needed anything. I've done this all by myself. He's seen me do everything by myself, you know? So yeah, that's some of my fears, but like my money, my that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, but my relationship with money has changed. It has changed. Like once again, it's no longer about me feeling sad because I have nobody to share it with. I've had my son to share it with. I've been saving. I got him a car. I paid that off. And now I'm like, it's time to focus on me, you know? He's getting of age where I'm just like, once he hit 18, that's him. You know what I mean? I'm still going to be here. You under my house? Yeah, we're going to take care of each other. You know what I mean? You got to still, you got to live life. Like right now, I'm making sure he pays his own, obviously food if he wants to eat out. I don't give him no more allowance. He has to pay for his own gas. And that's just being 17, you know. Once you hit 18, more things, and he knows that, more things will come up. If something goes wrong with the car right now, need brakes, all of that, I will do that. You know, I teach him how to check his fluids so he knows how to do that. But like car maintenance at this point is my responsibility. And that's just my gift to him because I don't want him being such a young person. I wanted, you guys know, I didn't even want him to work until he hit 18. I wanted him to enjoy, he graduated a year early. I wanted him to enjoy youthhood before he hits 18, you know what I mean? But his thing was like, I want money. Like basically my $100 allowance was not cutting it. And I understood that, you know. I'm like, okay. And like he tells me, he's like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be at this job for, you know. I'm gonna save up my money. He has $1,000 saved up right now, which is good. I'm like, just be smart with your money. But yeah, at the same time, like he's like, you he's like, what did he say, managing his money. I'm like, no, I don't care. You know, this is you to live your youthhood. Because once you hit 18, things change. You have more bills, you know. But I'm like, stay here as long as you need. I'm not going to be here until I hit 25. I'm like, man, be here as long as you need. We ain't got to, don't rush. I tell him, I said, it's not the same. This economy, this inflation, it's not the same when we were growing up, when I was growing up. It is not the same. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna rush into trying to move out. Once he hits 18, I told him, come join me at Amazon. I said, I think he would like it. I think he would like it because then at that point you figure you can pick up hours. Yeah, you're part-time, but you can pick up hours, you know, when they need help, and you get paid more money. Well, he's at $14 an hour at Chipotle, but he's like, I don't think I'm gonna stay there long. And even right now, he's like, I might, you know, be here for a couple months and then stop, because you figure if he has money saved up, then summer or whenever he wants to quit, he has money, you know, saved up to cover his stuff. But he knows once he hit 18, and then it goes into real adulthood, full-time job, you know. And that's why I'm just like, you know, I try to do as not as much as possible, you know. I just want him to have a easy childhood. I would never wish for young people, and unfortunately, even in my family, that people take from their kids. You know, it's sad. It's sad. They take from their kids. They have a joint account and they take from their kids. Oh, you owe me. I'm like, this person's only 16 years old. I mean, that's something like my father did, but no, you're in debt and you need your kid, basically. You know, that's sad. That is super sad. I keep it real with Jabez. Like, no, I am not struggling. Even when I do struggle, I let him know. Like I told him this last paycheck. I'm like, dude, your paycheck is almost as much as mine, you know. So, but I said, you know what? I was smart. I saved up money from the previous, so I'm straight. I showed you guys that, and yeah. But this was just a chat. But I did write down my relationship with money, and I'm gonna share that with you in part two. I think it's good to have a backstory, right? It's good to have a backstory and understand like my thought process, what I've been through, just the type of person I am. Y'all know I'm caring. Y'all know I'm caring, but just to share like my parents, my childhood, where I've come, like my steps, you know, to where I'm at now. To where I'm at now. So, yeah, I'll talk with you guys soon. Hopefully, you guys enjoy this. Comment down below. This is not going to be an everyday occurrence, but this ties into. I wasn't even planning on doing this. I was just planning on just talking to you what I jotted down. But I think, you know, when I start talking, I'm just talking from the heart. And I'm like, this is important for me to share. Um, Most of y'all know most of this stuff that I dealt with domestic violence. Y'all know that financially, obviously sexually, um, emotionally, physically. You know, I dealt with it all, and here I am. Here I am, you guys. Look at me now. So yeah, my goodness. And so yeah, I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.